Mr. Moderator, fellow town meeting members, the Finance Committee unanimously recommends adoption of special town meeting warrant Article 8, authorized solar installation at the Jack Cogswell building. This article would authorize the lease with a solar company for the installation and operation of solar panels on the Jack Cogswell building roof. The Jack Cogswell building was recently completed and is the building located as you enter the recycling and transfer station directly to the right of the driveway. The lease agreement would allow for the purchase of the electricity produced by the solar array on the building roof. We could credit or use the electric power generated by the rooftop solar panels at the RTS, in addition to the Jack Cogswell building, and we could credit any excess electricity produced or generated by the rooftop solar panels to other buildings in town. This warrant article authorizes the Board of Selectmen to enter into any agreement as may be necessary to implement the lease of a solar array at the Jack Cogswell building. There is one item that must first be determined. The town currently has a solar array at the recycling and transfer station. That solar array is on the old landfill. There are regulations that prohibit the operation of two solar arrays on a single property. The town has applied to the DPU to authorize the building of this solar array on the Jack Cogswell building. And once the DPU has authorized the building of that solar array, then the project will move forward. There are advantages to having a lease with a solar company rather than outright ownership of the solar panels. Maintenance and operations are performed by a company in the business of maintaining and operating solar panels. It does shift the risk of non-production of electricity to the solar company. This is similar to what happened with the landfill solar array, where in the event that there was non-production of electricity, which did occur, the amount of electricity that was produced was less than the total amount that was guaranteed by the solar company under the power purchase agreement. Then the solar company would still pay the town for the value of the electricity, even though it was not produced. Another advantage is if the town were to own the solar panels, then we would need to borrow for the cost of building the solar panels. This leaves debt service levels intact for other capital projects. If we were to borrow for the construction of the solar panels, we would also need to ensure that sufficient funding was in place to pay for the debt service, given volatility of electricity supply cost that over the next 20 years, that could be a risky proposition. The lease also includes all costs associated with the solar installation, so that the costs today for the town are limited to those associated with the solar panels relative to the DPU permit application. In addition to environmental benefits, there are financial advantages to entering into a lease agreement with a power purchase agreement. Only 10% of the anticipated electricity produced at the Jack Cogswell building will be used by the building itself. The remaining 90% produced can be credited, as I had stated previously, to another building's electric use of the town's choice. The recycling and transfer station, including the Jack Cogswell building, will use about 75% of the amount of electricity produced. The remaining 25% can be credited to other buildings. Depending upon the time of year, the solar arrays are anticipated to produce different amounts of electricity, so that the use on site could vary, and it could produce more at certain times, and at other times less of the electricity requirements at the Jack Cogswell and recycling and transfer station. Entering into a lease agreement with power purchase agreement also allows a hedge against electricity supply cost volatility going forward. These agreements tend to set the price for electricity that the town will pay. The town may look to further hedges within the agreement with respect to price volatility, but overall, this is a future financial benefit. There's also an increase in property taxes for the personal property taxes incurred by the solar company for the solar array. There are financial uncertainties that we should be aware of. The cost of electricity to the town in fiscal year 2022 is 2.25 cents per kilowatt hour, of which 0.93 cents is the supply cost for the electricity. That supply cost can fluctuate greatly. And so there is the possibility that the town pays electricity that is lower than market rate in the future, but there is also the possibility that the town could pay something somewhat higher than market rate. And again, those outcomes can be reviewed and negotiated by the Board of Selectmen. Electricity prices are currently very volatile, and they are anticipated to continue to be volatile, which again, as I just stated, may affect the negotiated price for the electricity purchased under this solar power purchase agreement. The Finance Committee, therefore, unanimously recommends adoption of Article 8, authorized solar installation at the Jack Cogswell building. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thank you, fellow town meeting members.